Last week, we saw a thrill ride from the Tri-Cities in Washington, where current national champion Steve David in the Oh Boy Oberto triumphed over world champion Jimmy Shane in the number 5 Graham Trucking. This week in Seattle, Washington, will Steve David keep his momentum from his win at the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup, or will his biggest rival Jimmy Shane stand in his way? H1 Unlimited continues next. Welcome to Lake Washington, our 6th stop on the race tour. I'm Rich Hollenberg, joined by my broadcast partner, Steve Montgomery. The fans, as always, out in full force to support their favorite teams. The Albert Lee Appliance Cup is set in the heart of the hydroplane sport, as many teams and sponsors call Seattle home. Let's take a look at the national high points following the Lamb Weston Cup. Steve David is atop the standings with a lead of less than 300 points. The veteran David started off his weekend well with a win in the first race of the weekend. The Graham Trucking team was not able to start in Heat 1B.
Ready for the tie wrap? Yeah, I got the press wrench. Go ahead. Press wrench? We're good. Tie wrap.
After repairs on the engine, Jimmy Shane was in full fighting force and took the win in Heat 2A. Jimmy Shane explains.
We had a mechanical failure, same thing that we had in Tri-Cities last weekend. Bleed band control failed on us during the heat. It's very, very uncommon to happen. One of those things that when it happens, it's just you gotta put your tail between your legs and say, whoops, you know, we messed up on that one. So we definitely have the problem fixed. We have a whole new system on there, and we got 3 wins in us today, I think.
All 5 boats scheduled for Heat 2B on the water and running. Steve David has the Oh Boy Oberto in lane 1. Next to him, J. Michael Kelly in the orange 37 Beacon Plumbing. John Zimmerman's out in lane 3 in the Team Red Dot Fox Plumbing. Jamie Nilsson in lane 4, the 48 Snoqualmie Casino. Brand new driver there. The 22 Boitano Homes, Mike Webster doing the driving. He's out in lane 5. On board with John Zimmerman in lane 3. And now Steve David in the Oh Boy Oberto has the top qualifier in lane 1. He'll be tough to beat from in there. Good start for the Steve David and J. Michael Kelly. They are onto the backstretch now, going by the log boom, and Kelly already dropping back just a little bit. Thousands of people watching from that log boom to the right of the boats as they come by. Steve David already with a little bit of a lead in the Oh Boy Oberto. Half a lap in the books, coming by the log boom into the north turn for the first time. All 5 boats now fanning out through the turn. Steve David just a quarter of a lap to go to complete lap 1. All the preliminaries are 3-lap heats. The final will be 5. It's all about earning points to make that final. The winner-take-all final heat. Steve David perfect on the weekend so far. Top qualifier. Earned top points there. Won his heat the first time out, looking for his 2nd victory and another 400 points. Swinging around through turn 1 onto the backstretch for the 2nd time. J. Michael Kelly in pursuit in the all-orange Beacon Plumbing 37, one of the newest boats in the fleet. A nice ride for J. Michael. Back to Steve David, our leader. He's onto the backstretch for the 2nd time. Half of the heat under his transom, already on his way to another 400-point victory as Kelly appears to be dropping back a bit in the 37. On board with John Zimmerman in the 9, running 3rd on the water. That's the Fox Plumbing Team Red Dot. Good finish for John if he can hold it there. Kelly swinging a little bit wide in the 37 Beacon Plumbing. Look at our leader Steve David in the Oh Boy Oberto coming right at us as he completes lap 2. He'll start lap 3 of 3, hoping to continue a perfect weekend here at Seafair. J. Michael Kelly still in pursuit in lane 2. He's back a ways in 2nd place. We received word that John Zimmerman in the 9 Team Red Dot Fox Plumbing has received a 1-lap penalty. He'll have to run an extra lap, and that's going to drop him from 3rd back into 5th place. It'll move Jamie Nilsson in the 48 Snoqualmie Casino up into 3rd. Mike Webster in the 22 Boitano Homes Presents Performance Tool will move back up into 4th place. Zimmerman in the 9 Fox Plumbing and Heating Presents Team Red Dot powered by Les Schwab Tires. That driver right there will drop back into 5th place. Meanwhile, our leader is on the backstretch for the final time. Heading up into turn 2. He'll make that turn and come around to the checkered flag and pick up the 400 points. You saw J. Michael Kelly's view. He's not going to catch this guy. Steve David will take the checkered flag, the winner of Heat 2B, continuing a perfect weekend here at the Albert Lee Cup at Seafair.
Here are the results after 2 rounds of heats, and stay tuned for more action from Lake Washington next.
H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Racing from the Albert Lee Cup at Seafair on the CBS Sports Network is brought to you by Formula Boats. You always wanted the best. Formula Boats. And by Peters and May Global Boat Transport, the world's leading boat transport provider.
Welcome back to Seattle, where boats are heading out for the start of Heat 3A.
Thank you, Rich. A great battle for the inside here before the start of Heat 3A. And look at this. Kip Brown has moved out ahead now of Jimmy Shane. Shane fell back a little at the start. Brown wired the start right as the clock hit 0-0. He had his nose on the line. He can make it tough on Shane into the first turn. Kip Brown carving a nice turn in lane 2, leaving a narrow lane 1 to his left for Jimmy Shane. The leader onto the backstretch, Kip Brown in the 95, opens up a little bit of water on Jimmy Shane, but now Shane coming back at him as they go up into turn 2. Shane on the inside. He is less than a rooster tail behind Kip Brown. You see the rest of the field training. It looked like Brian Perkins might have third for the moment in the 21. The Albert Lee Appliance were on board with Mark Evans in the 57 Fedco. Mark running away on the outside of the field, doing a great job out there. On to the front straightaway now for the first time. Brown the leader on your left, Shane the challenger on your right. Shane has the inside, but Brown has had a little bit of a lead here throughout lap 1. Both drivers getting a rough ride here as Lake Washington has really churned up. Here's the rest of the field. That's Perkins in the middle in the green and white 21. Off to the right, that's the 37 Beacon Plumbing. And here's Mark Evans now. He's going to take over third place on the outside as they go into turn 1. Mark Evans, the veteran out of Chelan, Washington, doing a great job at driving that red 57. Our leader onto the backstretch, Kip Brown in the 95, Spirit of Qatar, but Jimmy Shane is right there, less than a half a rooster tail back. Shane able to go at full throttle. Brown leaving him room into the turn. You can see Shane's problem. Not much room to do any sliding in there. He has to keep it right on the buoy line, and Kip Brown can keep him pinned in, reducing his speed just a little bit. Brown down to finish lap 2 now. He is the leader with 2 of the 3 laps in the book. Shane still right there, though. A fraction of a second behind the leader. Look at this shot. Overhead. Now look at the lane that Brown will leave for Shane. It will not be a very wide one. Oh, it's tight. Right at the entrance pin. Shane got through there okay, though. Brown moves out just a little bit. Shane has a little more room now at the exit buoy, and Shane moves up right beside Kip Brown. As they go on to the straightaway, the back straight for the final time. Brown with a very small lead over Jimmy Shane, who is going to challenge here on the final lap. Our third place runner continues to be Mark Evans in that red 57 Fedco. The leaders up ahead of him in a tremendous battle for the win here. That's Mark's view of the leaders up ahead of him. He's not going to catch him, but these two are staging a tremendous battle here in Heat 3A. Here they come to the finish line, and Brown appears to have the boat speed to hold off Jimmy Shane. The checkered flag for Kip Brown. He'll take the win in 3A in the 95 Spirit of Qatar. Jimmy Shane will take second in the 5 Graham Trucking.
Steve Montgomery caught up with Kip Brown on the docks.
Kip Brown, in this old announcer's opinion, the greatest drive of your career.
Well, thank you. That was a hell of a boat race. I'm sure glad I got a little jump on Jimmy there at the start, because if not, it would have been all over. They've got a fast boat. I had lane position, and that's what got me through there.
As teams prepare for Heat 3B, join us for more action next. Welcome back once again to Lake Washington and the Albert Lee Appliance Cup. John Zimmerman in the number 9 Miss Red Dot heads out for Heat 3B.
Here's the rundown to the start of Heat 3B. Tom Thompson out ahead of the field in the bright chartreuse 11 Peters and May. Thompson wired the start. He is the leader into the first turn. Running in lane 3, Tom Thompson all the way from Cambridge, Maryland to drive that boat. Over on the buoy line, that's John Zimmerman in the 9 Fox Plumbing Team Red Dot. He can see Thompson up ahead of him to his right, Steve David in lane 2. And you can see him coming up beside Zimmerman now. He's going to try to take the lead as they pull onto the backstretch. And here comes Steve David. He uses the superior boat speed of the Oh Boy Oberto to power by Zimmerman and Thompson and take the lead halfway through the first lap. Steve David, the Oh Boy Oberto, into the north turn for the first time. You see Zimmerman still right there with him on the inside. Zim can use the short way around that turn to catch up a little bit, and he does. Comes onto the front straightaway right beside Steve David, but now, once again, Steve David able to power up into the lead over John Zimmerman, running second on the water. In the background, you see Jamie Nilsson in the 48 Snoqualmie Casino, a newly qualified driver. His first weekend of racing in Unlimited right here at Seafair. Now Steve David has the lead in the Oh Boy Oberto in lane 2. Still has Zimmerman to his left, and he's not far back. Any kind of a bobble here in the rough water by Steve David and the Oberto, Zimmerman can easily take the lead. Nobody out ahead of David as he pulls onto the backstretch. Just about a half a heat now has gone by. He's on lap 2 into the north turn for the second time, leaving a lot of room between his boat and the buoy line. You see the advantage that Steve David has. You also see the big wide lane he's leaving for Zimmerman off to his left. On board with John Zimmerman, a hometown driver, lives in nearby Maple Valley, Washington. Coming by to complete lap 2 with only the leader, Steve David, up ahead of him. There's a look at Zimmerman, and Steve David now off to his right into turn 1 for the final time. Here's the race for third place, and Tom Thompson appears to have that under control now. He's ahead of Jamie Nilsson and Mike Webster, running in 5th place in the 22 Boitano Homes Presents Performance Tool. John Zimmerman on the inside cannot catch Steve David. Just too much race boat. Off to his right. Zimmerman will finish second if he completes this lap in good shape. The leaders are onto the backstretch now for the final time, and you see how rough Lake Washington is with the boats out there churning it up. Steve David off the final turn. He'll make the run down to the checkered flag and continue his perfect weekend. Top qualifier, 3 preliminary heat wins. We'll see Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto next in the winner-take-all championship final heat.
After 3 rounds of heats, we have our top 6 boats ready for the final.
Thank you.
Will Steve David or will Jimmy Shane be taking home the Albert Lee Appliance Cup? Find out next.
H1 Unlimited Hydroplane Racing from the Albert Lee Cup at Seafair on the CBS Sports Network is brought to you by Formula Boats. You always wanted the best. Formula Boats. And by Peters and May Global Boat Transport, the world's leading boat transport provider.
There's Jimmy Shane in the cockpit of the 5 Graham Trucking, set for the running of the championship final heat here at Seafair on Lake Washington. And as an all motorsports sponsorship, one of the key elements to success, there you see the 21 Albert Lee Appliance, driven by Brian Perkins, getting some help from major appliance companies represented by Albert Lee. The boats in the final pulling away from the dock, Kip Brown in the 95 Spirit of Qatar, sponsored by an entire country, and Shane in the 5 Graham Trucking. Graham Trucking, a Seattle-based company, delivering containers from the Port of Seattle to destinations in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. Owner Rob Graham, a longtime supporter of boat racing in the Northwest, with involvement in many smaller classes, and more recently, the world's fastest race boats, the Big Unlimiteds, where he's enjoying a lot of success with Ted Porter's team and young driver Jimmy Shane. Here is your 6-boat lineup for the final heat.
Kip Brown has the lead heading down to the start. He's in about lane 2. Lane 3, that's J. Michael Kelly in the orange boat. Looking back from Jimmy Shane's 5 Graham Trucking, he appears to have the inside. Shane is in lane 1. That's Brown's Rooster Tail beside him. Here comes Steve David in the Oh Boy Oberto. He's going to be out in lane 3. Steve David is going to have to run the final heat from lane 3 with a lot of boat speed to his left. This should be a great final heat. Here's the view from Brown's boat as Steve David goes by him on the outside. Shane on the left is the leader now. Steve David taking the lead as they pull onto the backstretch. He's out in lane 3. He has very, very fast race boats to his left, and here comes Jimmy Shane in the 5 Graham Trucking. Shane has the inside, and in that turn he's going to take the lead. Kip Brown running out of water back there between Rooster Tails. It's very, very tight. He has to slow down a little bit now to get out of there and find some clean water. And look at this. Jimmy Shane now has established a lead over Steve David as they come onto the front straightaway to complete lap 1. Shane, the brand new daddy out of Havre de Grace, Maryland. Son Colton just about 2 months old right now. Probably not interested in what's happening on the water, but it's a big story as Jimmy Shane has put a lead on Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto. Looking once again out the back. Steve David is back there, but Shane is out ahead onto the backstretch. Lap 2 of 5. The winner-take-all championship final goes 5 laps here on this rough race course on Seattle's Lake Washington. Steve David now back almost a rooster tail in the Oh Boy Oberto as they go up into turn 2 for the second time. Steve David looking to the inside. Now he has to pull back to the outside. He took on some water there and lost a little bit of ground to Shane. Jimmy Shane coming down to complete lap 2. And this could be quite a story. Racing for hometown sponsor Rob Graham and the Graham Trucking. Rob has had boats win races before, but not here in his hometown. Steve David running fast and loose in the Oberto, trying to catch up with the youngster out ahead of him. Jimmy Shane only in his 2nd full year as a driver. Here on the H1 Unlimited circuit, he has been nothing short of sensational. But this is a surprise. The youngster leading the veteran in the final heat of the Albert Lee Cup at Seafair. Walking it from sponson to sponson, and Steve David now back more than a rooster tail. The driver out of Lighthouse Point, Florida, won this race in 2010, 2011, and 2012. He's going to have his hands full trying to win this one here in 2013 as Jimmy Shane comes down to complete another lap with Steve David in pursuit. And look at how loose he's running that race boat, doing everything he can to catch Shane. Here's trouble aboard the 37. That's J. Michael Kelly's Beacon Plumbing. That camera is mounted on the rear wing, and something is wrong back there. Looks like the wing might actually be loose. David chasing Shane through turn one again. Once again on board the 37. The wing came off. It's high in the air. It's looping in the sky. It lands in Lake Washington. You see a boat go by. What a spectacular view there as the 37 Miss Beacon Plumbing lost its wing with our camera on board. Wing and camera now floating in Lake Washington. We are back with the leader, Jimmy Shane, coming down to complete another lap. He'll get the white flag now. He'll have one lap to go to victory here in the Albert Lee Cup at Seafair on Lake Washington, this historic race site. Many, many years of unlimited hydroplane racing. They've seen it all, these Seattle fans, and this youngster out of Havre de Grace, Maryland, coming clear across the country to win this race would be a huge story. The view out the back now of Shane's 5 Graham Trucking. Nothing back there but tons of water off the propeller onto the backstretch, coming by the log boom for the final time. A half a lap to go now to the checkered flag for Jimmy Shane. Steve David continuing to pursue, but he's not going to catch Jimmy this time. These two have given us some great races throughout the 2013 season. Another one here. Steve David, the top qualifier, won all 3 of his prelims, couldn't get it done in the final. He was out in lane 3. Too much to overcome, and Jimmy Shane in the 5 Graham Trucking is going to win it for hometown sponsor Rob Graham, the champion of the 2013 Albert Lee Cup at Seafair.
A jubilant Graham Trucking team celebrates their win as we have a look at the points for the weekend as well as the national high points. Steve David increasing his lead in the national high points, but Shane is not far behind. Steve caught up with Jimmy Shane on the docks.
Jimmy, your 4th win on the H1 Unlimited Tour is a huge one. How does this one rank?
You know, this is the big race for the Seattle area hydroplane racing, and to be the Seafair Cup winner is just unbelievable, unbelievable.
Join us next week in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho for more action from the Diamond Cup as the race for points heats up. For Steve Montgomery and our entire crew, I'm Rich Hollenberg. For scores, highlights, features, and more, go to cbssports.com. This has been a presentation of the CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.